This is the audience. Oh, yeah.
I'm Wyatt Burns, and today I'm going to talk to you about tobacco history. I'm going to start with a small history and then go into pipe smoking, cigar smoking, cigarette smoking. Tobacco has been in America's history for a very long time. In 1612, tobacco's crops were the first crops to be grown for money in North America by settlers of Jamestown, Virginia. When using tobacco, the majority of people smoked it in a pipe or they hand-rolled a cigarette or a cigar. The first commercial cigarettes were made in 1865 by Washington Duke on his farm in Raleigh, North Carolina, and his hand-rolled cigarettes were sold to soldiers at the end of the Civil War. Then in 1881, James Bonsack invented the cigarette-making machine and made smoking become widespread. Bonsack's machines could make 120,000 cigarettes a day. Bonsack then went into business with Washington Duke's son, James Buck Duke, and they built a factory and made 10 million cigarettes their first year and 1 billion 5 years later. The first brand of cigarettes were packaged in a box with baseball cards, and they were called the Duke of Durham, made by the company, the American Tobacco Company, which was started by Buck Duke and his father. Now that you know a little bit about the brief history of tobacco, I'm going to go into pipe smoking. The pipe had an early appearance some 3,000 years ago before Englishmen were smoking pipes. Native American tribes were smoking pipes in the Mississippi Valley area of the U.S. Ancient relic pipes found there were adorned with figures of animals and other decorative markings and were mostly made of phosphoric and other hard stone. Early English and European pipes were generally made of clay, and they were the simple long-stemmed pipes that many know today as the clay tavern pipe. Because of the fragile state of early pipes, pipe smoking was in decline by the turn of the 19th century, being replaced by the cigar and the cigarette. There was a growing need for a robust, serviceable, and economical material for pipe making. Nearly every pipe one encounters today is fashioned from briar. It is a nearly perfect material for a pipe bowl. Though fine-grained and quite hard and heat-resistant, briar is reasonably lightweight, non-toxic, and can often be quite beautiful. And best of all, it is very, very durable than previous pipe materials. Some may say that the arrival of the briar pipe saved the smoking pastime from being replaced by cigars and cigarettes. Cigars, started in Cuba's fertile land and favorable climate, allowed all three types of tobacco leaves to be made there, which are the wrapper, filler, and binder, and they were harvested on the island. And sailing ships were soon distributing Cuban tobacco from Europe to Asia. Columbus had claimed Cuba for Spain, and the Spanish soon cornered the growing industry, mandating in the 17th century that all tobacco for export be registered in Seville. They later tightened the stranglehold on the market by forbidding Cuban growers to sell the crops to anyone but them, a monopoly that persisted until 1817. By then, cigars were exploding in popularity around the world. The U.S. consumed some 300 million cigars by the mid-19th century, and many Cuban cigar makers migrated to nearby Florida, where Tampa became known as the Cigar City by the earliest 20th century. Despite the obvious health risks, cigars remain a fixture of pop culture. Next, in the early years of the 20th century were key in establishing Big Tobacco's foothold in the United States. The Federal Food and Drugs Act of 1906 prohibited the sale of adulterated foods and drugs and mandated honest statement of contents on labels. Originally, nicotine was on the list of drugs, which would have meant that the Food and Drug Administration could have regulated its sale. Tobacco industry lobbying got nicotine removed from the list on the grounds that it was not used to cure, mitigate, or prevent disease, and therefore was not a drug. And then in World War I, it hooked an entire generation of men. General John J. Pershing said that the tobacco was as indispensable to soldiers as the daily ration of food, and as a result, soldiers were provided with all the free cigarettes they could smoke. In 1910 and 1920, per capita consumption of cigarettes increased from 94 per year to 419 per year. And then in 1965, Congress mandated gentle caution label on each cigarette package. In 1967, a Surgeon General's report concluded that smoking is the principal cause of lung cancer and found evidence linking smoking to heart disease. After that finding, There was a very long battle between the government and tobacco companies about advertising and where and how they could advertise, and even where smokers could and could not smoke. Now that you know brief history on how tobacco originated, I'm going to show you a couple ways to quit smoking if you feel. When you quit smokeless tobacco, your withdrawal symptoms will be the strongest during the first week. After week 2 of not using smokeless tobacco, your body will be rid of the addicting nicotine and the worst part will be over. Soon you will be better than you ever did when you smoked. But in the meantime, know the side effects you will experience when quitting so you can better deal with them. Craving smokeless tobacco. Since nicotine is addictive, you'll be craving for smokeless tobacco. Try waiting it out. Each urge to use will last only 3 to 5 minutes. Deep breathing and exercise help you feel better right away. Feeling irritable, tense, restless, and edgy. You're going through nicotine withdrawals. Try some form of exercise or ask others to be patient. Feeling hunger or having a desire for sweets. People do sometimes experience weight gain when they stop using tobacco. If you get hungry, drink fruit juice or eat a low-calorie snack. And also drink lots of water. And also constipation, irregularity. Add fiber to your diet like whole grain breads and cereals, fresh fruits and vegetables. And then also to help beat your addiction, just remember a few things. Remember that the urges will pass. Remind yourself every day while you are quitting. Drink plenty of water. Take your mind off of a problem and come back to it later when you're less stressed. And change your daily routine. Do not be afraid to ask for help. In the end, I thought tobacco was a very fun, informational-filled subject, and I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I did. Thank you.